everybody, it's Missy. Today we're going to talk about one of the most important things for at least our classrooms, which is our portfolio. We have plenty of videos on how to make it in the first place, but now we're going to give the actual instructions on how to construct the thing. This is our nice solid pocket for keeping all your stuff in. When treated nicely, clearly it can last for a long time. I've had this one for probably 3 years now. And we have our kids make one every year to keep their stuff in, to keep it safe, because most of our pieces of paper, about this size, are a little bit too big to stay in folders. They start crunching up on one end because they're 9 by 12, not 8.5 by 11. So this thing will keep it nice and protected. But in order to keep this nice and protected, you have to construct it well. So you're gonna need a couple supplies. You're going to need a piece of poster board. We have ours cut in half. They are a nice long skinny. You're going to need your cover, whatever it happens to be. This is one that I have that's in progress. It will never be finished at this point. It's just sat there for 1.5 years now. You will need some packing tape, preferably heavy duty, but if not, just regular packing tape will suffice, and a stapler. If there's anything else that your teacher in particular wants you to add on, there might be other supplies needed, but these are the basic ones that will be true for year. All right, come around this way. We're gonna start with the big black pocket. Right now, it is a big big black flat thing. So we're going to be folding this hamburger style. Hamburger style means that we're going to be folding it this way around, short end to short end. And the long edge will be folded in half. So in order to fold this correctly, you do need to make sure that you line up your corners really well. If you have misaligned corners like this, then you're either gonna have to refold it or it's not gonna be big enough for the pieces of paper to go inside. So what I like to do is line up my corners with my fingers just by sliding my fingers and pinching. And then I hold that down with my fingers and then squish. Carefully sliding and inching my hands across so that I do not end up losing that alignment. If you get this a little bit off, it will not hurt the universe. Nothing will be heartbroken. We will all be fine. We're gonna give that a nice, good creasing. So you see, I've gone over it a couple times. Some kids like to use the pencil or something like that to go over. Just a nice, good crease, nice sharpness to keep it really well. Now we have the beginnings of a pocket. We need to do staples along the edge. Now here's the thing, your stapler very likely can munch really far into here. We do not want that. If we try and do that, then we're gonna have to crumple all of our papers in to fit. So what you wanna do instead is pull this off to the side, and you wanna go maybe about yay far in. It is not very far. It's not on the edge, because if you put it on the very edge, it'll tear out, but it's just a little bit on the ways in. You also want to give them spacing of 1.5 inches maybe. 5 or 6 staples will do you. If you do a lot more than that, you really don't need it. I think mine has a few more, but that's because I know I'm going to be stuffing this full of things. But if I tried to staple every single little side, it's gonna also do the same thing as if I put it too close to the edge. It will perforate and it will tear. So 5, 6 staples is really all you need for 1 year's worth of stuff. Now I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. Bam, 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 and good deal. Again, this staple is the edge of how far your papers inside can sit. So here I can see that I have clearance on both sides of my piece of paper. So I know that this will actually go into the pocket without running into staples. Again, if you end up pulling those staples really far in, then you're gonna have to put your stuff in sideways at best. So make sure you're watching that. Now, we gotta get this attached. First things first, this is the top of my pocket. I want this pointed away from me. This is my picture that I want on here. I'm gonna place this like so. And this is how I want it oriented for myself. I have plenty of kids who end up putting theirs upside down. It's not the end of the world, but I will judge you. Lovingly, I will judge you. And now we're going to be using the tape. The tape is a very loud noise. And you want it to be not just the distance across, but the distance across plus a little bit. Look at how much is a little bit. It's maybe an inch, maybe an inch and a half. Do not give me full hand spans here. That is too much. You are not paying for most of this, so do not expect to be using all of it. All right. Also be aware of how this is set into my roller so that my spikes point downwards. This will just make cutting easier. So in order to put this down, I have all of this laid out. I'm going to take my tape over my table, and I am literally just going to bloop it down. I will slide my hand across to make it stick well, and then cut it off. I can use my fingers to help press this in really, really well. The back of my fingernail also works super well to get this down really good. But the better this gets rubbed in, using the edge of an ID, using the back of your fingernail, whatever have you, will be a better job. This will also help you get out any air bubbles, because once this goes down, there's no peeling it up without tearing your paper. I have a lot of kids who get to the point where they're like, oh, my thing is down, there's an air bubble, I wanna pull it up and get the air bubble out. That's not gonna happen. It will just straight up tear, and then you will have a sadness. Now, we've got a strip on, so we're gonna peel this up, and we're gonna fold our tape back. You want enough tape to fold over the back that you cover up the sharp edges of your staples. Another reason why you don't want your staples in very far is that can be very sharp and pointy against you, and if you've got it just enough to cover that, then you're good. Now, we're gonna do the same thing multiple times. When we do, we wanna cover about half of the previous strip with our new strip. So my previous strip ends about here, so I'm gonna pull my new strip up about halfway up. This does not need to be an exact measurement, but it does wanna be pretty close. All right, I'm gonna stick that down, run my finger across it, go the other way this time, and snip off. And again, once we've got that, we can sit there, we can rub it in really good. Mine wants to peel up and pull back now, but that's okay, I can continue rubbing after. And I'm gonna repeat that over and over until I get to having covered my paper. I only want to cover my paper. I do not need to get all the way to the bottom. I should not be folding edges over the top. We don't want that. So I will show you, or I will be right back after I've got mine done and I can show you. All right, so here's my completed portfolio. On my very last strip of tape, I ended up pulling it a little bit lower down than half just to make sure I could get all the way to the bottom. But if you'll notice the sheen of my tape, it doesn't go all the way to the bottom corner edge because I don't want to have anything to fold over. You can get pretty close, but you don't want to fold it over. It's just a pain in the butt and it always peels up. So on the back, I'm double checking that all of my staples have been covered, and they have, both on the right and on the left. There's nothing harsh for me to get my fingers snagged on, which is really good. And now that this has been covered in tape, we have essentially something that can get a little bit wet and not be damaged. It will protect your entire cover. It'll protect the things inside. And this is a nice little pocket for all of your in-progress work. Anything that is loose leaf can be kept in here, and your teacher doesn't have to keep it safe. This is also a folder that you can take things home in, as long as it's not so crumpled in your backpack that this, because it's still paper, just dense paper, doesn't get crumpled. But it allows you to carry things back and forth really, really easily without it getting damaged. Once you have yours done, of course, make sure your teacher can see it for a grade, etc., all that good stuff. And then there will be a place for you to keep it here in the room. All right, have a good one. Bye.